There is very much more still to do, particularly on this, whether you call it completing the revolution or whatever you call it. I'm delighted to follow Scarlet because I started work at the TUC in the late 90s, and as she said, we have really come a long way. I was working in the same department that Scarlet's in, and when I was there, 15% of the TUC's executive committee were women. I think it's now getting up to around half. It's not good enough yet, but it is a very big step forward. There were no women general secretaries of big unions. I'm very proud currently to work for the National Union of Teachers. We have a very, very good women general secretary, and actually all the teaching unions do. But look at the terrible time they get in the media. I mean, Christine and Mary and Chris Keats get accused by the Daily Mail of being good three witches. I mean, how acceptable is that, that in today's society people don't get recognised for the work that they do, and they get basically vilified for being women? That's essentially what it's all about. And the only way to tackle those types of things is for us all to work together and just stand up and say that is completely unacceptable. And I think the other thing to say is that the trade union movement has come a long way, but where are the senior black and Asian women in positions of power? Where are the disabled women in positions of power within the trade union movement? Where are the lesbian gay women? I mean, there are some, but they're not at the top. And we've got a long way to achieve a really representative trade union movement, and I think we need to bear that in mind. I think some of the things that Laura and Sian said are so important to recognise in terms of the overall political agenda, because it is trade unions that stand up for low-paid women workers. Without them, where would we be? And all of the academic and the research and the policy evidence clearly demonstrates that the coalition policies are absolutely devastating women and disabled people in particular, whether it's cuts to benefits, whether it's what they're doing more widely on tax or whatever it is, women are suffering. And the trade unions are one of the only halts on this entire process. And in terms of Europe, I mean, that's another thing. It is absolutely no coincidence that the Tories are so hostile to Europe. The reason they're so hostile to Europe is because Europe has very, very important implications for workers' rights and women's rights. I mean, we've done a lot of work on equal pay here in this country, but actually the gender pay gap is still on average less in the EU than it is here. Maternity rights came from Europe. Yes, the Labour government improved on them, but the Pregnant Workers Directive back in the early 90s was groundbreaking, and it forced the Tory government at the time to bring in maternity rights. Living wages campaigns, we need to take that to an EU level, because living wages campaigns benefit women and low-paid black and ethnic minority workers much more than the rest of the population. And one of the things I want to do is look at that in particularly the low-paid sectors at European level. And as Scarlet mentioned, we have a General Secretary of the ETUC, the European TUC, who's a woman. And the trade unions work very effectively at European level in order to protect women's rights. Actually, Mary Honeyball, who's a colleague of mine in London, there's a Women's Rights Committee still at the ETUC level out in the European Parliament. And she's originally from the GMB. She makes a real difference in raising issues such as domestic violence and making sure that the powers that in the European Parliament are used to benefit women. So, and it's not going to be the Tories and the Lib Dems who are going to be doing all of that work on behalf of women. So I think it's something we really need to bear in mind. And also, I think we need to also think that women are going to have a tougher time, and that is really unfortunate. So it's about supporting women in trade unions and more widely. Just look at the examples that we've had. Julia Gillard, not my favourite person politically, but she's had an absolutely terrible time as a senior woman leader, vilified, the kind of sexism that she's had to experience. And the power of women is immense. And I was thinking this week, I don't know if anyone's been watching Wimbledon, but they had a fantastic retrospective on Billie Jean King. it's not trade union in the strict sense, but in the 70s, when she got all the women players together and she formed a women's tennis association, and she said to the male establishment, this is not acceptable, you cannot treat us like this, you can't put us on the outside courts, you can't pay us, you know, no money, you absolutely have to treat us with respect. And as a result of all of that, they now have equal pay in tennis. It'd be great if they joined the TUC, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So I just wanted to finish with something from Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, you know, women who are leaders must stand out and be shot at. And I don't think she meant shot at in the literal sense of people, although sometimes that is true. More and more they're going to do it, and more they should do it. And the trade union movement is the perfect place for us to do that. So I hope we have a good discussion in the workshop, in a group.